Hola everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Today I want to tell you about all the books that I read in the month of May. I read a total of 15 books in the month of May, which I am happy with. The first was an audiobook that I started in April, but I didn't finish until May, and that was Naked in Death by J.D. Robb. This is the first in a series, and it was okay. It was entertaining. You can kind of tell that it was written and published in the 90s. It's set in a future New York in which there is a female detective, and she is brought onto the case for the death of what appear to be multiple sexual companions, and so she thinks it's a serial killer, and the sort of different ways in which they investigate because of all of this technological advances and everything like that. And it was fun and entertaining. I might continue on with the series in audiobook. I don't know that I would spend the money to purchase and have on my shelves, but if if the opportunity presents itself for me to listen to the audiobook quickly, then I probably will. Then I read By the Book by Julia Sonneborn, and this is a Jane Austen Persuasion retelling. Our main character is a professor at a university, and she's trying to get tenure, and she finds out that the new sort of headmaster or director of the university in which she works at is her ex-fiance. And this was fun and sweet, but not very memorable. And similarly to how I felt about the original Persuasion, I really wish that the love was more overt. Especially, I think in Persuasion I feel that more about the man, but here I kind of hoped it would happen better with both, especially given that it's a modern retelling. You can do that in more overt and obvious ways, but it was okay. It was sweet, but not a new favorite. Then I read Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, and this is a fantasy with a bunch of sort of fairy tale and religious and mythological elements to it. I don't really know much about any of the things that she takes inspiration from, so I can't tell you whether she did them well or not. I saw some reviews saying that she did them not well and others that she did, and it is about these three main characters who are our three main female characters who are all sort of trying to find a way to make a living in a very male-centered world in which they have very little choice over their lives. So our first main character takes over her father's business he's a money lender, and so he's not very good at getting their money back, and people really take advantage of him, and so she begins to take over that business. Another one of the main characters finds that her family owes money to our first main character, and so the way that they figure they will get rid of the debt is for her to work for the family, and she's okay with that because it means that as long as she is working and paying back the debt, she doesn't have to be married off to some random guy that her drunk of a father chooses. And he also hits them, so warning for domestic abuse. And then our third main character is like the daughter of a duke or something like that, and she's also trying to find a way to, as much as possible, kind of have as much a choice in her life as she can. And this was fun and okay, but I felt like I was wanting more, and I don't know if that's just a thing of Naomi Novik's this and Uprooted. I wanted more fantasy and more magic and just like an elevated level of it all. I guess it being a standalone, I was missing the more action and magical elements that I get in the higher fantasy series. So maybe I'm just like a high fantasy series lover more so than like standalones, or I've realized that I'm probably also not very much into like mythological retellings and their fairy tale retellings and things like that. I don't really care about them, and I think not knowing the elements that she was taking inspiration from deterred me personally from enjoying it, because I I don't know, I just feel like I would have been better immersed in the story if I knew. Yeah, I mean, this was okay, but again, not another favorite. Then I read Withering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is a classic that I've been meaning to get to for a really long time. It's kind of one of those on many people's list of books that you should read, and it's always been sold as this sort of tragic love story, and there ain't nothing lovely about it. It is all tragedy. It is a bunch of horrible, unlikable characters. We have this family who's well off, and the father goes off on a trip, finds like an orphan child and brings him back, shows him more sort of attention and love and care than both of his two children. And the way that they respond to it is that the boy is incredibly resentful of Heathcliff, who is the orphan boy that is brought in, and then Catherine is resentful towards him and mean towards him at first, but then they have this like weird toxic bond love thing. They don't, she marries somebody else, and Heathcliff is forever obsessed and upset about it, and basically his entire life is dictated by his emotions towards her, and the way that he treats everybody is absolutely foul. This is just like, I was curious enough to continue to read and find out like how it all came about, but there were multiple points in which I was just like, I don't care. And at no point did I find anybody remotely like redeemable. Maybe like the kids, like Catherine's kid, and then the kid of Catherine's brother. Yeah. So Catherine's child and her nephew, I guess, were okay. I didn't really understand the narrative choice of having like a nursemaid tell the story. I guess she was involved in all of their lives, so in that sense, but, and I guess I don't know at this time like how common a third person omniscient perspective was. That's too literary a fact for me to know, but yeah, I mean, this if you haven't read it yet and you don't really have a desire to, don't. It's a bunch of really unlikable, terrible people. Then I read In a Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. This is my first ever Ruth Ware, and I am just really finding that I don't really care about thrillers. They don't thrill me, they don't catch me by surprise. This was a fast, easy, entertaining read, but beyond that, it didn't do anything for me. I was questioning everybody's motives, like, why the hell are you still in this situation? Like, the motivations didn't make sense to me. Like, if I am put in the positions that some of these characters are put, I'm gonna peace out. And I'm a person that is so non-confrontational and is always worried about like hurting other people's feelings and making sure that I'm not being disrespectful or anything like that. I'm incredibly non-confrontational and like super duper easygoing, and even I would have like hissed a fit. No, like, what? No. So everything that happened could have been avoided if they had just said, no, I'm not doing this, bye, I'm going back home, like, this is ridiculous. But I mean, it was okay. I don't think I'm gonna read any more Ruth Ware, and I just like, I'm not interested in thrillers, really. I just think they're not my jam. Because I also think like a lot of the, like, I love in mysteries, what I love about that is really the puzzle of it all. This is the thrillers, at least the ones that I read, is more leaning towards the psychological, obviously thriller side of it. That's just trying to get you to like really be invested in the story and be caught off guard and things like that. Whereas I like that in mysteries, it's a slower pace. You're really trying to solve the puzzle, solve the riddle, and get to the psychological aspects of your characters. And I just like that. I like that method of storytelling better. I like that pacing better, and just that narrative style better. Then I read Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I read this a really long time ago, but I didn't remember anything about it. So I wanted to do a reread as an adult and really kind of dive into the story. And I enjoyed it. I really liked our two sisters' father dies and he leaves, everything is left to a son of his from another that he had with another woman, and he and his wife are not very nice and don't really help our two sisters or her mom, the widow, at all. So they are helped out by like a distant cousin of hers, and they find this little cottage and they go there and they move there and they're happy and having a great time. And then yeah, it's just like about their lives and about the people they encounter, family members, the trips they go on, a lot of like, you know, the social commentary that Jane Austen is known for, her wit that she's known for. And it was entertaining, and I really enjoyed our two main characters as sisters. I loved how we get to see them develop. I love how we see their relationship as sisters develop, but also them as individuals grow and learn. Our main character, I think our main character, what, Eleanor is her name? Really, I find her to be really wise and just a really compelling female character. I really enjoyed her. I enjoyed the way that she thought things through. I enjoyed the way in which she speaks to everybody. I enjoy the way in which she's able to keep decorum, but also sort of still let it be known when things are not really appropriate or good. I really enjoyed her. I got a bit of whiplash from all the like engagement changes, and then I didn't feel like either of our main characters, the love was as overt as it should have. I think for the younger sister, it was more a matter of convenience, which is, I guess, true to the times, so that's fine. But in a book, you kind of want it to be more overt and sweet, and I didn't really think that it was, at least not from her side. From the men's side, you got a lot of it, like who she ends up with, you get a lot of that. But from the sister, it was like meh. And then for Eleanor and the partner she ends up with, I just didn't see it. I really didn't see it. I didn't like it. I mean, you see it in Eleanor, but you don't see it being reciprocated. And then again, just like the whiplash from the different engagement changes. It was, I enjoyed it entirely because of the sisters, not at all because of any of the romantic components. Then I listened to on audio Desk by Kelly Yang, and this is a really sweet middle grade novel that I thoroughly enjoyed about our main character. She belongs to an immigrant family who has moved to California from China, and they are trying to find work. They're trying to find work, and they find a man who owns a motel and tells them that they can live rent-free in the motel. They just have to manage it and do all the check-ins and everything like that. And I really enjoyed it. Mia was so sweet as a main character. She had a lot of like gumption that I thought was nice. It tackles immigration, race, poverty, growing up in a new place while wanting to do your best and fit in there while still not wanting to let down your family, and being very aware of the expectations that your family has for you, and about wanting things that may differ from what your family wants for you. And I really appreciated the fact that and I don't know if this was done on purpose, but I got out of it some sort of at least a one dimension of a discussion of the racial tensions that exist between the Black and the Asian community. I thought that was interwoven into the story in a way that was like obvious to me, but not in your face. And I really enjoyed the story. It's really about community and coming together and finding a home in a new place. And I thoroughly enjoyed this middle grade one. Then I read two picture books. I read The Bookstore Cat and Dad by My Side. And these were just both really sweet. The Bookstore Cat one is also like an alphabet book, so it's great for kids who like cats and books, and if you're trying to teach them the alphabet, it does a really nice job. And then Dad by My Side was just a really sweet, mostly just illustrations about like a dad's love with his daughter, and it's just really, really sweet. I also read the picture book My Nana's Garden by Don Casey, and this was a sweet sort of springtime picture book about a young girl and her grandmother's garden and all of the changes that it undergoes throughout the year. I also read three graphic novels. I read Dragon Hoops, which was so good. I loved it so much. I love graphic novels. I love basketball, and this has both of them in one, and it's a nonfiction about the author who is trying to understand why people love basketball so much and why it's so important. And it's a story about the basketball team in the school in which he teaches, and also interwoven into the story is history about basketball and its evolution throughout the years. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so great. 5 stars for me. And then I read Aquacorn Cove, a sweet story about instead of tea dragons, they're aquacorns, which are like aquatic unicorn, like winged unicorn. Are unicorns winged? Yeah, right. It's like aquatic unicorns, and it's so sweet, and it's about the ways in which the little island or town, the seaside town, is doing things that, though they feel they need to do it to survive, is damaging to the ocean. And so it's about trying to find a balance that between the two, and trying to protect the ocean and its creatures and its animals, but also having a sustainable life and being able to survive. And I thought it was beautiful, like anything that she has written and illustrated. And then the last graphic novel that I read was My Beijing, 4 stories of everyday wonder. And this was such a sweet story. So this was such a sweet graphic novel. It's a few stories about a young girl. She's physically disabled and she lives with her grandpa, and it's about their life in Beijing and the things that her grandpa does to make her life happy and as accessible as possible. And it's about her friends and the people that she has around her, and there's like a bit of a magical element around it that ties the stories together, and a sort of like time play between the stories. And it was just so sweet, and the artwork was absolutely beautiful, and I highly recommend it. And then last but not least, yeah, this is the last one. It is The Unlikely Adventures of the Sugar Sisters by Bali Kaur Jaswal. She wrote the erotic stories of Punjabi widows, which I read, I think, like a few years ago and enjoyed. And this was nice. This is about 3 sisters who lost their mother to cancer, I believe, and she has left them with the task to go on this sort of pilgrimage throughout India in all of the places that she would have wished that she could have gone to had she been healthy. And it's a way to honor her, to learn about where they're from, and to come together as sisters. And I really enjoyed this. I thought that the ways in which we learned about culture and familial expectations was great between the 3 sisters. They're different enough that you really get a sense for who they are, and they stand alone as characters in their own right. And yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed this. Like it has a lot of feminist themes implemented throughout the story, and yeah, this was great. This was fun. And I enjoyed getting to see the sisters' relationship develop and them learn more about themselves and their mom and their sisterhood and their country. And yeah, it was great. And I think that I also finished The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien, but I will not really talk much about this because I am doing a separate reading blog where I finish The Lord of the Rings and I talk about it as I'm reading it, and then watch the movies and talk to you about them as well. And I'll just say that I really enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll be able to finish Return of the King soon. Pride is full of a lot of really big books, and it's a lot of things because it's June is Pride, it's Caribbean Heritage Month, it is Indigenous History Month. It's a lot of things, so hopefully I might be able to get to it maybe towards the end of June, so I will be uploading that vlog then. But yeah, my priority is going to be the books that I talked about in my TBR, which has been uploaded. If you haven't checked it out yet, take a look. As always, thank you for watching and for listening. Let me know what you have read in the month of June, and I love you all.